Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Code Canvas. In this video, you will learn how to use the JavaScript Arrow function to write more concise code for function expressions. ES6 Arrow functions provide you with an alternative way to write a shorter syntax compared to the function expression. Let me show you with an example. I am adding one simple function, calling that function. This will return 30, 10 plus 20. So this is the conventional way for function expression. The same function can be rewritten using JavaScript Arrow function. Let me show you how. The result is same. So in arrow functions, the function keyword is not there. The arguments are there. Instead of curly braces, you can see the arrow and x plus y, the expression, and you can call this function same in the same way. In this example, the arrow function has one expression, x plus y, so it returns the result of the expression. However, if you use the block syntax, you need to specify the return keyword. Let me show you how. This is another way to write the function, the arrow function. If you want to use the block syntax, if you want to use the curly brackets, you need to specify the return keyword. So if you try to console the type of this add variable, you will see it is a function. So arrow function is ultimately a function. The arrow function is also an instance of function type. Let me show you how. Add is an instance of function, then it should return true. It means the arrow function is an instance of function type. Okay. The next thing is we will learn how we can use arrow function with multiple parameters like p1, p2, p3 and expression. Here the expression is equivalent to return expression. Please keep this in mind. Let me show you with an example. For example, I want to sort an array. I have an array with few numbers and I want to sort this array in descending order. Then I can simply numbers dot sort function a comma b and return b minus a. And if I console these numbers again, I can see an array with descending order as I have written b minus a. If I want to use that in ascending order, then I have to write a minus b. Then it will give me an array with an ascending order. So this is the conventional way to sort an array. If I want to use this same method with the arrow function, I can do similar to this. Numbers dot sort a comma b and I will get the same result. The numbers in descending order. Same way, a minus b, it will be an ascending order. So as you might notice, the function keyword is not there, and I am just sorting this with an expression a comma b arrow a minus b for the ascending orders. So this was the arrow function with expressions, the multiple parameters. Let me show you the array function with a single parameter like p1 statement. I have an array for names and I want to calculate the length of the name. So I will use the map function, the JavaScript map function. I should get the length. One has 4 and others have 5. The number of characters in the string. So this was an example of a JavaScript arrow function with a single parameter. The next example is arrow function with no parameter. It will be like this. The best example I can give is I'm consoling window dot document and I will simply call this function. You have to take care. This is the function expression. Like this is the function with no parameters. So I can omit the function keyword and simply write down the function body and call this function like this. So you can see the document object has been logged and we can access any property we want. So this was an example of array function with no parameters. Next thing is line breaks between parameters and definition. Let me show you what what do I mean by that. I am writing one function, arrow function, and function expression is I am writing is in the next line. If I will do this, I will get an error that this is not the correct way to write the arrow function. Although I can write something like this, it will work. Like it will work like this, but I cannot put this arrow in the next line. It is not the right way. I have to put this in a single in the same line, and the function expression, the body I can write in another line. So this is the correct way. There is another way to do this. I can do this as well with the correct syntax. Parameters in a new line, this is also correct. So in JavaScript, an expression evaluates to a value. Let me show how. N plus 20 is equal to 30. So if I write in JavaScript, let me show you. If x is equal to y, sorry, y console.log x equal to y. So I can do this thing in arrow function. Let me show you how. This is a way where I can use an expression of a body in arrow function, and I don't need to use that curly braces. But if you want to use a statement, you must wrap it inside a pair of curly braces. For example, I'm wrapping this in curly braces. I'm throwing an error or a message, and I have to use the curly braces. So I'm using statement here. The next point in arrow function is JavaScript arrow functions and object literal. Let me show you an example. I'm writing one function to set color, passing one parameter. Okay, so here I can call this function and pass the parameter green as a value, and if I console.log bg color parameter, the variable, I will get an object which has value as a key and the green as a parameter. So the set color function expression returns an object that has a value property set to the color argument. If you use the this syntax, the object literal syntax using arrow function, you will get an error. Let me show you how. This is the conventional way to do this first. But if you do like let set color is equal to color and do something like this, then you will not get an object, because since the both block and object literal use curly brackets, the JavaScript engine cannot differentiate a block and an object. To fix this, you need to add brackets before this curly braces. Now, let me show you an example. Now, you can see it will return an object. So, this is the way you can use JavaScript arrow function and object literal. I hope you learned something new in this video. So there are main two difference between arrow functions and regular function. The first is in the arrow function, these arguments super new.target are lexical. This means the arrow function uses these variables from the enclosing lexical scope. The second difference is an arrow function cannot be used as a function constructor. If you use the new keyword to create the object from the arrow function, you will receive an error. Let me show you an example for JavaScript arrow function and this. Writing one function and I'm writing another function in that function with some parameter. Okay, I have written one function and calling it, let me keep it capital so we can consider it as a function. Let's see, it's showing 20, right? But this dot speed, this is undefined. Inside the anonymous function of the setTimeout function, the speed this dot speed is undefined. The reason is that the this of anonymous function shadows the this of speedup function. To fix this, you assign this value to a variable that doesn't shadow inside the anonymous function. Like you can assign let self is equal to this, and after that it will work fine. But this can be solved using arrow function. Let me show you how. Writing same function again using arrow function. This will give you the right value, because here it worked because we didn't use the conventional way, like we needed to use like this. And let's see. So it is giving undefined because we are using a set timeout, a conventional function. To fix this issue, we call this set timeout function using an arrow function. Then it will return that value which we are passing. So inside the anonymous function, the set timeout function, the this dot speed is not defined. JavaScript arrow functions and arguments object. I'm creating one function and I'm returning arguments. So this will work like expected. It will be 10 plus 5, the 15. The arrow function inside the show me function references the arguments object. This argument object belongs to the show function, not the arrow function. An arrow function doesn't have new.target keyword. The same way, JavaScript arrow function and prototype property. When you define a function using function keyword, the function has a prototype called prototype. This is not the case with the arrow function. Let me show you. The function has one property to return true, because the show function is a conventional function and it has a prototype property. But if we do the same thing with arrow function, it will get false because arrow function do not have a prototype property. So it is a good practice to use arrow functions for callbacks and closures because the syntax of arrow function is very much cleaner. So I think that's all from my end for this video. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, feel free to leave comments. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you.